During a game of truth or dare, my boyfriend publicly accepted a confession from a junior. Then announced our breakup. I was just helping her. Why are you being so unreasonable? The next second, I lost the game. Kale, his friend, turned to me and said, "You can choose me to complete the punishment." I stood on tiptoe and kissed him right then and there. Seeing Jace's face grow darker, I couldn't help but smirk. He was just helping me too. So don't be unreasonable. Under the summer night sky, heading fulfilled Wednesday, everyone sat around the bonfire, playing a game of truth or dare. Mila drew a card. Choose anyone here to confess your feelings. If the person doesn't accept, the confession fails. Then kiss any man present. Laughter erupted from the group, their eyes gleaming with excitement. It didn't matter whether you won or lost, the spectacle was sure to be worth it. Mila scanned the crowd, her gaze stopping on Jace's face. But she hesitated, her words dying on her lips. The atmosphere immediately fell silent. Everyone knew that Jace was my boyfriend of 3 years. At that moment, he was whispering jokes into my ear, seemingly oblivious to the attention focused on him. Mila blushed deeply, her hands tightly gripping the hem of her skirt. She nervously approached Jace, her ears burning as if blood might drip from them. "Senior, may I confess to you?" Her voice was barely a whisper, but everyone in the circle could hear her clearly. A burst of laughter filled the air. "Is that even a confession?" Even a dog would shake its head. "Yeah, at least, she can't even confess properly. And she dares to steal Leela's boyfriend?" Mila stood frozen in front of Jace, her face flushed with embarrassment. "Why don't you try confessing to someone else?" I offered a way out, hoping she would take it. But she remained frozen, as though she hadn't heard me. "Give it up. I've had 20 girlfriends. And I'm an expert kisser. You'll beg me not to stop," a guy with a rogue smile chimed in. "French, Chinese style. Pick whichever you like. Or if you want to go further, I could be your teacher." His tone was lewd, and the group erupted in laughter. Mila's eyes welled up with tears, her face as red as a beet. The drunken guy swaggered over, grabbing her and pulling her into his arms. Jace furrowed his brow, his joke dying on his lips. I knew this was his breaking point. He rushed over, grabbing Mila and shoving the drunkard away. "Show some respect for girls." Mila quickly hid behind Jace, clutching his sleeve, her doe-like eyes locked into his, silently pleading for help. I, too, stepped forward and stopped Jace, a pang of jealousy twisting inside me, though my face remained composed. "Jace, we should go back early. We've got an early flight tomorrow." This wasn't the first time Mila had disturbed Jace and me. Once, when Jace and I were on a date, Mila bumped into him, and he had to take her to the hospital. So we missed our movie. Another time, she accidentally took my ID, and I couldn't board the flight, ruining our trip. I had let it slide before, thinking it was just one of those weird coincidences. All because Jace was so caring. But now? This time, she was confessing. Not something trivial. "Jace, hold my hand and come back with me. And I'll believe in your feelings for me. If you continue to tolerate Mila's interruptions, I will start to doubt everything." I forced a smile, trying to make it warm. But Jace turned away, unable to meet my gaze. "Leela, I can't just stand by while a girl is humiliated," he said, his words like a slap. If he helped Mila, it meant he was accepting her confession. What about me? I lowered my head, feeling dizzy and weak, nearly stumbling. Jace immediately steadied me, his voice soft but firm. "A girl's reputation is very important. You understand that, don't you?" Yes, having fulfilled my sigh. He understood. But did he understand mine? My boyfriend was accepting another girl's confession in front of everyone. What about my reputation? His next words buzzed in my ears like the sound of a fly. "Leela, you're always so kind. You won't leave her hanging. Be a good girl. I'll wrap it up soon. If you're uncomfortable, put on some headphones and watch some videos while you wait for me." He tightened his arm around mine, then loosened it and led Mila back into the circle. I rushed forward, blocking him with a determined stance. Jace. If you accept her confession, it's over between us. My head spun. But my thoughts were chillingly clear. Accepting another girl's confession in front of me crossed the line. Jace gave a slight nod to his friend, who immediately stepped forward, bowing low. Leela. No, sister-in-law. It's just a game. Jace only has you in his heart. His buddy chimed in eagerly. That's right. Big sister. We only have you as our one true sister-in-law. Don't pick a fight with a little girl. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Stop trying to claim kinship, I don't have a brother like that. Jace's face darkened. That's rich. You're all such good buddies of Jace. Next time, when your girlfriend confesses to someone else in front of you, you'll still be grinning like a fool. Right? The group turned to look at Kale, who had always been distant and indifferent, now laughing aloud. He patted his friend on the shoulder. And the guy immediately grimaced, clutching his chest as if in mock pain. Don't bother arguing with a little girl. Kale called back with mock indifference, his words stinging like poison. Yet it was clear there was nothing anyone could do about it. I gaped at him. Was he really Jace's friend? But why was he on my side? Then, let out a low sigh. As if on cue, I noticed Jace holding Mela's hand. He shook their clasped hands proudly, flashing a grin. I've accepted her confession. We're taking a break. Leela. Just a few minutes. The atmosphere shifted. The onlookers fell silent, their gazes shifting to me. I suddenly felt a weight lift off my chest. I always keep my word. I threw my engagement ring at him with all my might. Clink. The platinum ring, glowing with silver light, struck Jace's chest before rolling off into the dirt, now dull and tarnished. Jace's face flushed with anger, and he stared at me, expressionless. Leela. What's with the tantrum? My face flushed with anger. You didn't hear me just now? We're done. Fuming, I turned to leave. Jace lunged forward and grabbed my hand, lowering his voice. Leela. That's enough. If it were you helping someone else, I wouldn't throw a tantrum like this. Right. I was always the good girl even when angry. I'd swallow it down in silence. He'd grown used to that. He knew I wouldn't fight back. Kale's cool, husky voice sounded unexpectedly pleasant at that moment. He drew a slip of paper from the box and waved it lightly. Pick anyone here to kiss and take home for the night. If they refuse, the task fails and you'll strip naked and run a lap. That meant there was no way out, didn't it? Leela. May I kiss you? If you say no, I'll strip anyway. My 8-pack ABS don't scare easily. Hands in his suit pockets. Kale spoke without even looking at me. His gaze tilted toward Jace with a playful grin. Jace and Kale were brothers, and most of the guests at the wedding were their mutual friends. Did Hal lose his mind? He never takes anyone's side like this. Man, this joke's going too far. Not worth falling out between brothers. The atmosphere was unbearably awkward. I hadn't expected Kale to actually say that aloud. He strode toward me, that usually careless face faintly tense. His expression softened into something reverent as he gently took my right hand, his husky tone laced with something dangerously seductive. Leela. May I? Jace yanked my hand back, his voice cold. Kale. What the hell is wrong with you? Leela is my girlfriend. Kale straightened, his usual indifference slipping back into place. And what you said earlier, was that all bullshit? Jace let go of my hand, forcing a light laugh. Leela's too proper for this. She can't handle these kinds of games. Did I ask you? Kale cut him off with teasing sharpness. For the first time, I hated my own restraint. So what if I went a little crazy? I thrust my hand toward Kale. I'm willing. A disbelief on Jace's face was almost comical. I'd been the model student since childhood, every step of my life carefully measured. No rebellion. No risks. The kind of daughter parents bragged about. If I was already making a fool of myself, why not go all the way? I was done pretending to be composed. I hated how Jace looked at me like he knew me inside out, like I was something he already owned. All I wanted was for him to disappear from my life, however that had to happen. Kale let out a triumphant whistle. He tightened his grip and pulled me into his arms. The world spun. And before I could think, warmth and breath enveloped me. My eyes shut tight as soft pressure claimed my lips. Damn. Are we watching a soap opera? Gotta admit, Hal and Leela look pretty good together. When I finally pushed Kale away after what felt like an eternity, my pulse was still racing. Holding back, I realized, only made the anger worse. But acting on instinct? That felt exhilarating. You said you had 8-pack ABS? I want to see them. I tilted my head and asked with complete seriousness. Kale's grin spread wide, like an overexcited husky. Let's go. I'll give you a private viewing. He wrapped an arm around me and whisked me away, ignoring the shocked gasps that rippled behind us. Wait. Jace didn't follow, but his mocking tone sliced through the noise. Leela, don't forget to tell everyone tomorrow whose body's better. Yeah? I turned, a strange lightness bubbling up inside me. Ever since I'd gone crazy, everything had become so much easier. Raising my voice so everyone could hear, I called back. Jace, too. Running out of jokes lately? Want to become the biggest one yourself? Don't worry, tomorrow I'll tell you who's more impressive. Grinning ear to ear, I sprinted alongside Kale as if we were flying. By the time I was gasping for air, my lungs ready to burst, I instinctively let go of Kale's hand. Exercise really did release dopamine. I felt ridiculously alive. Thanks for the rescue, Senior. I'll take my leave now. I panted. He lazily kicked a pebble. Using me and ditching me already? Wait, did he just compare himself to a donkey? Of course not. I'll treat you to dinner next time. I mean, treat you, not the donkey. I blurted, flustered but sincere. Don't feed me promises. I've sworn off carbs lately. Kale narrowed his eyes at me. That look could scam a saint. Have you even read the game rules? I shook my head. Games like these were never complicated. Win, lose, dare, or consequence. I'd only plan to watch, not participate. Kale unlocked his phone and opened a video. Organizer, every half hour. Send a photo as proof. If you lie or skip, you get your head shaved and your bald photo posted on the school bulletin board. My eyes wide and as I instinctively touched my hair. What kind of barbaric punishment was that? Shave my head? Absolutely not. I shook my head hard, trying to banish the image of that bald monk from my mind. Kale waved dismissively. Go if you want. Weather's hot anyway. Bald heads are nice and breezy. You won't even need a flashlight at night. Who knows? Maybe some girl will fall for my brilliant mind. You're a pity, you're a pity. Though, don't worry, your hair will grow back in 10 years or so. No way. Everyone knew how much I cherished my hair. I rushed forward and grabbed his sleeve. Senior, our bodies and our hair come from our parents. Kale bent down, ruffling my hair like I was a pet. Oh? Then what should we do? Spend the night with you. Did I just say that? Something must have possessed me. The words flew out before I could stop them. You think I'm that kind of guy? Kale's voice was unreadable. My blood rushed to my head. I wanted to dig a hole, no, an entire apartment, and bury myself in it. I am sorry. You helped me. And I just thought maybe no, not like that. I don't want to sleep with you. Don't worry. It's just for the game. Really? You're not my type. I'll be going now. The air grew heavy. I could feel his silent pressure weighing on me. I lowered my head and bolted. So humiliating. Fine. If I had to shave my head, I could always buy a wig. It wasn't until I was halfway gone that I realized we were in the middle of nowhere. The night was pitch dark, and I couldn't tell which way to go. The horror story I'd watched last night about the ghost with the long tongue came rushing back to mind, making every hair on my body stand on end. Then, let out a low sigh. A loud rumble behind me. My blood froze. My heart leapt to my throat. Get in the car. Kale pulled up beside me on his motorcycle, and I quickly grabbed onto the lifeline that was his bike. With a twist of the throttle, the bike shot forward like a missile. I thought I was about to crash into his back, so I hastily wrapped my arms around his waist. I felt his back stiffen beneath my touch. The air was chilling. I had clearly offended him with my words earlier, so I tried to explain in a voice barely above a whisper. Senior, I don't have any dirty thoughts about you. I held on to his waist tighter, my voice growing softer as I continued. When I said I'd spend the night with you, I meant it literally, not because I'm lusting after your body. We're dying to see your ABS. Your body's great. But it's just not my type. I've said it twice tonight already. The motorcycle sped up, the wind stinging my face. Kale's back felt colder, more distant. Had I really messed things up this badly? 5. We arrived at an apartment. I turned my stiff neck, trying to look at him, my eyes wide with confusion. What's this? All talk and no action? Or do you want to be a sister-in-law? I shook my head quickly. No, I don't want to be a sister-in-law. If I'm a sister-in-law, I can't see your ABS. I want to dare. Kale leaned down and moved closer. I felt uneasy, preparing to close my eyes and brace for whatever was coming. But instead, he pulled out his phone, pushed my head into his chest, and took a photo to send to the group. I hate taking photos. If it weren't for the game rules, who would want to take this stupid picture? I hurriedly nodded along. But I caught the smirk on his face. It reminded me of a spade. I leaned in closer, noticing a new video in the group chat. I clicked on it, and it was a conversation between Jace and Mila. Senior. Leela is so carefree. Don't you feel a little upset? Mila sweetly held out her phone to him. Call Leela. Tell her you're sorry. Jace shook his head and sneered. No need. There's nothing to worry about. She's just throwing a tantrum. That's all. His lazy demeanor made it clear that he didn't care at all. And I'll bet she's probably regretting it now, he added. Mila smiled softly, lowering her head. Seems like Leela's not that irreplaceable to you. Huh? Jace didn't deny it. He casually draped his arm over Mila's chair, an unspoken tension lingering between them. She just throws a tantrum now and then. But she can't stay away from me. His tone was both proud and dismissive. I felt a surge of frustration. Because, truth be told, Jace was probably right. I was planning to make up with him tomorrow. The elevator doors opened. I shoved my phone back into Kale's hands and rushed out. Kale smirked, gestured towards the liquor cabinet, and casually said, "Help yourself," before walking off. I felt a fire burning inside me, ready to burst. I grabbed a bottle from the cabinet and twisted the cap off. The sharp alcohol burned down my throat, but the fire seemed to spread, igniting every nerve in my body. I don't know how much time passed, but when I opened my eyes, Kale was standing in front of me, shirtless, wearing only a pair of loose athletic pants. Leela? How much have you drunk? He held up an empty bottle in shock. 6. I patted his face reassuringly. You're so stingy. Didn't you say help yourself? My gaze dropped, and my hand instinctively moved to his stomach, feeling the smoothness of his skin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. I haven't finished counting. Are you sure you have 8-pack ABS? His Adam's apple bobbed as he took a sharp breath, clearly trying to walk away. I stumbled and caught his arm. Don't worry, Senior. What happened tonight is all part of the game. I don't like you. His face darkened, as though mourning the loss of his alcohol. I'll pay you back for the drink. I lifted my chin, signaling him not to be upset. But instead, he leaned down, his eyes subconsciously focusing on my lips. We were so close now that I could hear his breath. He swallowed hard. You're going to pay for it? It's one of a kind. What do you have to offer in return? His voice was hoarse, laced with desire. I stared at his lips, recalling the softness of them, and a seeded temptation blossomed in my chest. The scent of alcohol surrounded us, and I couldn't help but lean in, hoping to calm the agitation in my body. Senior, if I offer myself, would it be enough to repay you? Jace's words and the alcohol's influence made me want to be someone different. I lightly pinched his earlobe and whispered seductively. Kale instinctively tried to push me away, but his hand brushed against my soft skin. It was like he touched fire. His hand jerked back immediately. I mimicked the scenes from the drama, grabbing his hand and placing it on my lower back. His ears turned crimson, as though blood would drip from them. I laughed softly, my voice light and teasing. Don't rush. Let's take it slow. My words and actions were far too bold. Kale's usual restraint began to falter. And the air between us grew thick with desire. Just as I thought he would lose control, he pushed me back slightly. Leela. This is happening too fast. I'm afraid. I laughed drunkenly, mocking him. Don't make excuses. Are you afraid you're going to be too quick? Or is it that you're just not up for it? A low growl escaped him. And he bit my ear, using the last of his self-control to whisper. Do you really want to test my limits? In an instant, I was pulled into his embrace, and his hoarse voice echoed in my ear. Then let's go crazy together. I clung tightly to him as he pushed me onto the couch. His lips descended onto mine. I wasn't about to let him dominate me so easily. I reached for the tie around his waist. Just as I was making progress, his phone rang obnoxiously. Ugh. I groaned, still trying to remove his tie. But my energy was waning. He glanced at the screen, then put the phone on speaker, continuing what he was doing. Kale. Where did you take Leela? I've been calling her. And she's not answering. Did you make sure she got back to her dorm safely? Kale groaned, clearly frustrated, and muttered, Are you deaf? Didn't you hear Leela say we were done? Are you blind? Didn't you see the picture I sent just now? Jace was relentless. I kissed Kale's chin greedily, rubbing my cheek against his neck in a flirtatious manner. Keep going. Okay? He chuckled softly, his tone smooth and affectionate. All for you, all right? Ignoring the continuous ringing from the phone, I slapped it away. Wasn't it enough that Jace had come back from the dead to ruin everything? Kale seemed distracted, losing his focus now. Frustrated, I threw the phone as far away as I could. Kale's fingers tangled in my dark hair, and he lowered his head, continuing with renewed tenderness. He didn't care about the incessant ringing anymore. What had I done wrong? It was the alcohol's fault. Women really do lose their senses when they're drunk. The ground was scattered with a mix of charming chaos. Before dawn, I grabbed Kale's phone, took a quick photo, and sent it to the group chat, then made my hasty retreat. The madness of yesterday had come to an end. I tiptoed away, but inside, it felt as if something had been hollowed out, a strange emptiness gnawing at me. Looking back at Kale, his handsome face was filled with indulgent satisfaction. I remembered last night. How in his drunken state, he had let me press my hand against his ABS. And how he had generously guided my hand over them. He had whispered lovingly in my ear. Again and again. Leela. Do you remember me? I couldn't help but feel my cheeks burn. Not only was he handsome, but when it came to what mattered, he was deeply devoted and thorough. Thinking about it, the emptiness I felt vanished completely. Last night had been exhausting. I just wanted to go home and catch up on some much-needed sleep. As I was about to head upstairs, a figure blocked my path. I looked up. It was Jace. I tried to walk around him, keeping my eyes lowered as I headed for the stairs. As I passed by him, I heard his restrained voice. Leela, I said, you've had your fun. Let's forget about last night. Be good, and apologize to me. I was confused. After seeing those scandalous photos Kale had posted in the group chat, Jace was now here asking for a truce? Had he been hit too hard by last night's events? Or was his brain now full of water? I stared at him in disbelief and asked. I spent the night with Kale. You don't mind that, right? Jace struck a cool pose, leaning back casually. You're not that stupid. I know you too well. His expression was relaxed, as if he was being genuine. Those photos were to provoke me, right? He leaned in closer, his voice tinged with a hint of wounded feeling. Leela, I was in the wrong first. When I saw you and him kissing to spite me, I realized my mistake. You won, all right? I called you countless times last night. Only then did I understand how much you mean to me. We both made our points. Let's call it even. Okay? I listened, but something didn't sit right. A 180 cm tall guy was dragging out his words like a puppy. Maybe I would have been touched by these words yesterday. But right now, every hair on my body stood on end. Move aside. I slept with Kale last night. Believe it or not, I wasn't going to argue with an idiot. Getting some sleep was more important. Jace didn't get angry, though. He reached out to ruffle my hair with surprising good nature. This was so bizarre. I dodged his hand. He then waved his phone at me. I couldn't find you at your dorm last night. But I found your phone at the campsite. You were waiting for me there. Weren't you? Suddenly it clicked. His certainty that I hadn't spent the night with Kale was because he had assumed I was waiting for him at the campsite. I snatched the phone from his hand, annoyed, and said, Jace. Didn't sleep well last night. Huh? Don't come out sleepwalking in broad daylight and scare people. What makes you think I'd wait for you? Also, hadn't so silly session. I've tried it Kale's way more impressive than you. The veins on Jace's neck bulged as he angrily grabbed my arm, trying to pull me into his embrace. Just as he was about to succeed, a shadowy figure stepped in front of me. Kale was holding my hand. His fingers laced tightly with mine. Jace's gaze dropped to our hands. He sneered twice, his voice dripping with disdain. Kale. What kind of brother are you? You know Leela is my girlfriend. Kale's expression was indifferent, his voice calm but with a hint of pride. What? Do you think Leela likes you? She's just trying to piss me off. Isn't that right? Leela? You wouldn't leave me for some game. Jace's words made my skin crawl, filled with a deep sense of loathing. I gritted my teeth and spoke slowly, each word sharp. Jace. You brainless fool. Let me say it again. The moment you agreed to Mila's confession that night, we were done. Kale is 1,000 times better than you. I like him. And what's it to you? Jace's jaw clenched, his eyes darkening. Kale smirked, but his tone was filled with satisfaction. Did you hear that? Leela said it, she likes me. Jace cursed under his breath and swung a punch at Kale. They started to struggle. Jace was no match for Kale. Kale had been playing sports for years. And I wasn't worried in the slightest. Soon, let out a low sigh. Jace was lying on the ground, unable to get up. His eyes looked like panda eyes, blood streaking from the corner of his mouth as he stared at me. I ignored his gaze and turned to wipe the sweat off Kale, who looked completely unharmed. Finally, having fulfilled my sigh, I gave Kale a thumbs up. Kale. You're amazing. I'll reward you properly tonight. Jace didn't cling to me after that. When someone has other options, they become less desperate. I heard Mila was walking on air lately, getting close to Jace. It wasn't hard to figure out. While Jace and I were on a date, Mila had purposely bumped into him, making him take her to the hospital. Before our trip, she swapped my ID so I couldn't board the plane. Jace didn't throw any insults, reassuring me that she was just a little girl and nothing serious. Maybe by then, he had started to fall for her. But none of it mattered anymore, as long as Jace didn't rise from the dead. It was 3 months before I saw Jace again. Kale and I were taking a stroll by the lake after dinner. Not far away, we heard a loud argument between a man and a woman. It was Jace and Mila. We were about to avoid them, but Mila's sharp eye spotted us and blocked our path. Senior, since you've chosen a higher branch, do me a favor and make it clear. Don't be shameless, wanting everything. You're the one who can't make up your mind. Her face was flushed, and she looked like a completely different person, spitting words with abandon. Had she stopped pretending to be the sweet little thing after getting Jace? Before I could speak, Kale stepped forward politely and asked her, "Are you sure you have the right person?" Mila's anger was boiling over, and her voice became shrill. "I'm talking about Leela. Didn't she break up with Jace? Yet she's still holding on to him. Senior, you don't know what she's like. She's so vain. And she only got with you because your family is richer than Jace's." So, was she implying Jace's family was poor? Jace's face darkened, and he pulled Mila along, trying to leave. But more and more people were gathering around. Mila pushed him away and made her voice even louder. "Don't drag me. I'm going to tell everyone. Leela's such a green tea bitch. Playing both sides. Still holding on to my boyfriend. She only likes Kale because he's rich. She wasn't even done with Jace. And she jumped into Kale's bed. You all don't know, right? She's even been someone's mistress. I saw her getting into a Maybach right outside the school gate. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I exploded right then and there. Shut up. You're the homewrecker. Tearing me and Jace apart. You were the one shamelessly flirting with him that night. Everyone saw it. Do you want to call me a mistress just based on your word? Blood rushed to my head in a surge of fury. Slap. Jace, whose face was now as dark as a storm cloud, slapped Chang Rou across the face. A gasp purpled through the crowd. I widened my eyes, my mouth hanging open in shock. Enough. Myla. Jace growled under his breath, his expression murderous. Myla stood frozen, her face a picture of disbelief, tears welling in her eyes as she turned and fled. I thought Jace would chase after her. But instead, he only stared at me, his gaze filled with reluctance. 14 The next day, heading Huffveltland's Day. As I was getting ready to head to the beach with Kale, Zuri called me. Leela. You've got to check the school forum. Someone's slandering you, it's everywhere. I quickly opened the forum. A girl from a certain department is still involved with her ex-boyfriend. And had a one-night stand with a rich heir. Don't let her innocent appearance fool you, she's quite the wild one behind closed doors. She's materialistic. Even playing the mistress. The post had shot up to the top of the forum. There were photos of me with Jason Kale. And a video of me getting into a black Maybach outside the school gates. The woman in the video was unmistakably me. And the man in the driver's seat was clearly someone very well dressed. I sucked in a sharp breath, my hand trembling as I gripped my phone. The post was accompanied by a lengthy rant. All the accusations pointed squarely at me. Public opinion is easily swayed by misinformation. And I thought I'd be completely torn apart. But to my surprise, the comments were full of people defending me. Why post a video of Leela? It's clearly slander. We all know Leela's the sweet, well-behaved girl. Who's spreading these lies? It's obvious whoever stands to gain is behind this. Someone had even posted the video of Myla being slapped that day. And someone else had shared the video of Myla confessing to Jace during the dare. Oh my goodness. I clicked on the post, and to my shock, it was Kale who had posted it with his real name attached. I didn't believe for a second that his friends were behind the defense, it just didn't seem like something they'd do. Kale was standing right beside me, though. 15 He flashed me a wicked grin and admitted it. Myla's the type who'd try to trip you up at every turn. I warned my friends yesterday to keep an eye out for this. I couldn't help but grin, a little surprised by his honesty, and asked, so you can accept the idea of me being someone else's mistress? He laughed softly, ruffling my dark hair. Whose mistress is that? Awkward? Awkward? That made me angry, and I reached over to pinch his side hard, not letting go until he begged for mercy. 16 Though I knew I was innocent, I still posted a photo of me with the Maybach driver. Zuri's angry comment filled the screen. The daughter is her father's former lover Leo, looks so much like her dad. So that was it. The onlookers were eating it up. Jace was reprimanded by the school for fighting and had his offer from a prestigious foreign company rescinded. Mayla was called into the police station for her slander. And if the charges stuck, her future was over. And, in the most shameless move, she came to find me. Senior. Please. Take back the accusations. I exhaled slowly, watching her sob uncontrollably. But in her eyes, I could still see a glimmer of malice. Some people just don't learn without facing consequences. I threw her a classic line. If admitting fault was enough, why would we need the police? 17 Kale still occasionally asked me, with some insecurity, do you really not think of me as a game? I looked him in the eyes and answered seriously. Fake it until you make it isn't just a saying. It became a saying because it's actually true. As for his habit of asking me after every tender moment, Leela, do you still remember me? Well, that's another story entirely. On my birthday, I found a necklace in his pocket. I thought he was going to surprise me. But by nightfall, all I got was a message saying he had to go on a business trip. The next day, heading to Feldwide session. While shopping, I saw him with his first love. The necklace she wore was exactly the same as the one I found in his pocket. Watching the two of them together like lovers, I didn't confront him. After chasing him for so many years, having felt enough pain, it was time to let go. While eating out with my best friend, Through the window, I saw a figure I couldn't possibly mistake. The man who said he had to go on a business trip but was now strolling with his first love. It was my husband of 3 years, Asher. Seeing their intimate gestures was like having a bucket of ice water poured on me. My whole body turned cold. Leela noticed my expression, followed my gaze, and said in surprise, "Isn't that Asher? Didn't he go on a business trip? Why is he with Wendy?" A thick, sickly sweet syrup seemed to fill my throat. I took a big sip of soup, trying to swallow it down, but it was useless. No sound came out of me. "Come on. I'll go with you to tear those two cheaters apart." Leela grabbed my hand, but I stopped her. "Forget it." She let go and sat back down, frowning. "And what do you plan to do? Just let them cheat on you?" I looked at the necklace around Wendy's neck and shook my head. Yesterday was my birthday. While cleaning, I found a small blue velvet box in Asher's coat pocket. Inside was a heart-shaped necklace, shining enticingly under the light. I thought it was his gift to me. My heart suddenly raced, and an inexplicable hope arose. I prepared a big meal and even got a cake. From sunset till the neon lights came on. I waited so long, I lost track of time. All I remember is that in the end, I only got a WeChat message from him. "Going on a business trip tonight. Won't be home." I stared blankly at my phone. Then at the dishes on the table. Then I stood up and threw all the food into the trash. Now I realize. He didn't forget my birthday. He just never truly cared about me. Even that necklace wasn't meant for me. At home, I curled up on the sofa, looking at our wedding photo on the TV cabinet. A sharp pain spread from my heart throughout my body, making it hard to breathe. The first time I saw Asher was on the school playground. In the first week after transferring, I was punished to stand under the flagpole for talking back to the teacher. The scorching summer sun shone on the boy's sharp features, his hair gleaming faintly in the sunlight. His handsome appearance and tall figure attracted many girls' attention. Even I couldn't help but notice. One day after school, passing through a small alley, I saw him sitting alone, smoking, his face bruised and battered. I remembered at the parent-teacher meeting the teacher said his parents often fought. I suddenly felt sorry for him, carefully stepped into the alley, and took a bandage out of my pocket. "Your face is bleeding." He glanced at me, took a long drag on his cigarette, then exhaled. The smoke curled in the air like silk but quickly vanished. I hesitated, then tore open the bandage and crouched down to put it on him. He looked at me blankly, a faint, barely noticeable smile flickering in his eyes. From then on, we became friends, walking to and from school together every day, pushing each other to study. I helped him through many dark moments. Until college, when we went to different places to study, Asher suddenly cut off contact with me. Until one day after work, when I bought water at a convenience store and was about to go home, I bumped into a mint-scented embrace at the door. I staggered back a step. Trying to steady myself, I heard a familiar voice overhead. "Caroline?" My muddled mind went blank for a moment. Looking up, I saw a pair of brows and eyes just like in my memories. "Asher?" He smiled slightly. "Long time no see." "Long time no see." I smiled faintly at him. That night, we went shopping together and talked a lot. He didn't leave until late, sending me home with a reluctant expression. "Sleep early." "Okay." I nodded instinctively. As I turned to leave, he grabbed my wrist. I looked up at him, confused, not knowing what he wanted. Then suddenly, he bent down and kissed me. It was our first kiss. My first ever. I widened my eyes, heart pounding wildly, stunned and unsure how to react. Frozen on the spot, he leaned close to my ear, his voice low. "Caroline, will you be my girlfriend?" His voice was tempting, and without thinking, I nodded. "Okay." At that moment, everything was quiet around us. It felt like the whole world contained only the moon and us. After that, things went smoothly. Not long after, with family blessings, we got married. The next day when Asher came home, he brought me a bracelet. "Saw it on a business trip and thought you'd like it." See? He still didn't remember my birthday. Seeing no reaction from me, His face changed slightly but quickly recovered as he sat down beside me. He took my hand and put the bracelet on my wrist. It looks beautiful on you. Looking at the bracelet. Shaped like a heart. I almost smiled. Before, whenever he gave me a gift, I'd put it on immediately and take photos to post online as a keepsake. But now, receiving a gift brought no joy or surprise, only a bitter taste in my heart. Seeing my silence, Asher grew impatient. What's wrong? Don't like the gift? No. I shook my head expressionlessly. No, Caroline. What are you playing at? Asher lost patience, rubbing his tired temples. What was I playing at? I didn't even know what I was doing. Last week, he had a college friend's birthday party. I went with him. Though I really didn't want to. Because they didn't like me. And I didn't like being around them. I still remember when Asher and I first got together. He took me to meet these friends. There was no joy or surprise. Only emptiness. The way they looked at me was like I was an ugly duckling. They all knew I didn't drink, but still kept trying to force alcohol on me. In the end, unable to refuse any longer, I reluctantly had a few drinks. On the way home, I felt dizzy and nauseous. But I usually don't say no to Asher's invitations. Besides, this was a close brother of his. So that day, I went too. The private room that night was noisy and brightly lit. Since I wasn't familiar with most people, I quietly sat beside Asher, watching him laugh and chat with his classmates. Wendy arrived halfway through. As soon as she came, she was surrounded and sat right next to Asher. She looked past Asher at me and said, "Caroline, I didn't expect you to come to the party with Asher." She called him Asher so intimately. Swallowing my discomfort, I forced a polite smile at her. She returned a smile that was hard to read. Someone who had drunk too much started teasing under the influence of alcohol. "Asher. We always thought you and Wendy would get married. But. Yeah. What a pity. Right? You and Wendy together are just a perfect match." Others chimed in agreement. Wendy shyly smiled. "Stop it. The main person is right here." Asher glanced at me briefly. Then casually said, "It's nothing. Just friends joking around. She understands." My nails dug into my palm deeply. Holding back the bitterness in my heart, I forced a smile. "I won't disturb your reunion any longer." Asher frowned and looked at me. "Caroline, hadn't fulfilled my sigh." "Stop it." I ignored him and got up to leave. As I did, Asher, suppressing his anger, whispered loudly, "Jia Tang. Sit down." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Wendy tug at his sleeve. "Asher. Don't be like this. Don't argue over something so small." But Asher said, "That's just how she is, always throwing childish tantrums. Don't mind her." So in his heart, that was how he saw me. My heart clenched painfully as I walked straight out. Once the heavy door shut, the noise outside was instantly cut off. I wandered aimlessly down the street. The dim yellow streetlight filtering through the trees scattered like delicate gold dust on the ground. I didn't know where to go. I wanted to call Leela but realized I had left my bag in the private room. So I went back to get it. I grabbed the door handle and pushed it open just a crack, catching sight of two people hugging right in the middle of the room. Though their faces were unclear, I immediately recognized them. It was Wendy and Asher. Seeing this, my heart felt like it was being stabbed with needles. So painful I couldn't breathe. I couldn't stay calm anymore. Anger poured through every nerve in my brain like a violent storm. I hurried inside, ignoring everyone, grabbed a glass of wine from the table, and splashed it directly onto them. The atmosphere in the room instantly grew tense. Asher anxiously checked Wendy from head to toe. After confirming she was okay, he yelled at me angrily, "Caroline. What the hell are you doing now?" "What?" I scoffed lightly. "You're a married man hugging another woman. Do you even consider me?" "We were just playing truth or dare and lost. This was the punishment," Asher explained casually. His classmates also tried to calm me down. "Yeah. We were just playing a game. Besides, Wendy's been our friend for years. We all treat her like a brother. It's pure friendship, not as dirty as you think." Wendy bit her lip in distress. "Caroline. It's really not what you think. Asher and I were just playing a game. Watching their faces. I cried and went home. Asher followed closely behind, sitting beside me and trying to cheer me up with sweet words. Caroline. There's really nothing between me and her. Later. Seeing I was still upset, he impatiently threw out. Can you stop being so petty? If I really wanted her, why would I even have anything to do with you afterward? From that day on, we fell into a cold war, neither willing to speak to the other. Until my birthday. I saw a necklace and eagerly awaited a surprise from him, but instead, I got a heartbreak. Coming back to my senses, looking at Asher's impatient face, I calmly said, I'm not upset. You're overthinking. Then I turned to watch TV. Coincidentally, the show was about a scumbag and his mistress tugging at each other. The wife catching them and angrily calling them adulterers. She even slapped the mistress. The man shielded the mistress and kept denying any relationship with her. Asher froze, watching the screen with a dark expression, lips tightly pressed together. I pretended not to notice and kept my eyes on the TV. The woman on screen cried bitterly and finally decided to lead the man. As the couple walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau holding their divorce papers, the man's comeuppance came an investor, fed up with his behavior, withdrew funding, and he now faced bankruptcy. The episode ended there. I glanced at Asher's extremely unpleasant face and couldn't help but feel a little amused. Back in my room, I just received a message from my mentor. Julian is the youngest surgeon at City Eye Hospital. Highly accomplished at a young age. With articles that shook the global medical community. Countless students want to study under him. He was my university mentor. And through his recommendation, I interned at City Hospital. Now, I'm a doctor under his supervision. Julian had planned to take me abroad for advanced training this year, a great opportunity many could only dream of. But I was a fool who refused his invitations again and again. Caroline. You're an excellent surgeon. You should know how much I value you. I'm about to depart for the UK soon and hope you will cherish this chance. If you have any requests, just tell me. I'll do what I can to help. I lowered my eyes, glanced at the wedding photo on my bedside table, and replied to my mentor's message. Okay. I'll start the visa process. He was very happy and replied immediately. Caroline. I'm glad you made this clear decision. Start your visa application quickly. I'll send you the necessary documents. You'll leave at the end of next month. Honestly, I was tempted by his offer because not only would it advance my surgical skills, it would help me establish a solid foothold in the medical field, but I just couldn't let go of Asher. Asher grew up in a bad environment. Every holiday, he was alone because he said he didn't want to face his noisy family. The first year I met Asher, it was New Year's Eve. Every household was brightly decorated with lanterns and lights, and the streets were filled with laughter and joy. The only exception was him. He had run away from home and was wandering the streets. When I found him, he was sitting alone on a park bench, the dim streetlight casting a soft glow on his handsome face. His fingers flicked the lighter intermittently. The faint, flickering flame, a small, scarlet-orange light, gradually faded away. Looking at his lonely figure, I suddenly felt an overwhelming tenderness for him. Holding back the sting in my chest, I smiled and said, "Come on. Let's spend the new year at my place." He was silent for a moment, then replied, "Okay." The night was dark. I couldn't see the emotions in his eyes clearly, but I could sense a smile in his voice. Since then, every holiday, I would accompany him. Even if he didn't want to, I would stubbornly drag him to my house for celebrations. Over time, it became an unspoken tradition between us. That habit only stopped when he went to college. But once we were together again, it resumed. Actually, when the teacher first suggested sending me abroad, I told Asher. He was silent for a long time, then held me tightly as if trying to press me into his body. That night, drunk and leaning on my shoulder, he said, "Caroline, heading for Seldline. Can you always stay by my side? Don't leave me. Okay?" I sought tenderness and deep affection in his eyes. I nodded. "Really? You'll never leave me?" His voice was hoarse. Only after I promised did he relax and hold me as he fell asleep. After that, I never brought up going abroad again. I was afraid it would remind him of those lonely days. But I never expected that in the end. It would be him who left me behind. How ridiculous. I stood by him through those difficult years. And he repaid me with a shattered heart. The next evening, Asher came to pick me up from work at Currents. When he handed me a bouquet of roses, I was momentarily stunned. After we got together, he only once ever sent me to work. And that was only after I begged him incessantly until he gave in. But when he was with Wendy in college, it was different. Rain or shine, he never missed sending her to and from school. Even worrying about her shoes getting wet. He'd carry her back to the dormitory on his back. Outside the hospital, people came and went. I mechanically took the roses in front of admiring eyes, letting Asher put his arm around my shoulder. We're going out for dinner tonight. Weren't you always talking about that restaurant? The trendy check-in spot? Tonight we're going there. I'll take as many pictures as you want. He opened the passenger door for me, gently shielding my head. At the end of last year, a trendy restaurant opened in the suburbs. It was very popular, with many rushing there to take photos. I begged Asher for a long time, but every time he either said he was too busy or impatiently rejected me. I stopped bringing it up. Later, I found on Wendy's Weibo that she and Asher had checked in at that restaurant together. The caption read, "Such a beautiful restaurant. Of course I have to bring the most important person to check in." Under the caption were 9 photos. In each one, Wendy linked her arm with a man's. Her black hair was bathed in warm light, soft and glowing. Although the man's face wasn't shown, the atmosphere was unmistakable. On his well-defined ring finger was a wedding ring. That night, I stared at the photos for a long time. Tears wet my phone screen before I finally wiped them away. Asher drove around nearby for a long time but couldn't find a restaurant. He grew anxious. I remember it was around here. Why can't I find it? Let's check ahead, I said. The car slowly moved forward. After circling again, he parked by the side of the road, hitting the steering wheel in frustration and pulling at his tie irritably. How can we not find it? I glanced at my phone. It was already 8 p.m. Lee had been wandering for nearly an hour. That restaurant closed a month ago. At this, you let out a low sigh. Asher stiffened, staring ahead with his mouth slightly open, speechless. After a while, he turned to me with guilt in his eyes. Sorry. I didn't know. It's okay. It's not the first time anyway. I forced a professional fake smile. Every word Asher said and every plan he made, I kept them all in my heart, ready to accompany him to fulfill them. But the promises I made, no matter how often I repeated them by his ear, he would always find excuses to put them off, and eventually forget them altogether. The atmosphere grew tense. I ignored his pale face and said calmly, "Let's go home. There are some instant noodles." That whole night, I drifted in dreams. In the dream, a boy held fireworks and smiled foolishly at me. I woke up the next morning feeling dazed and heavy-headed. Rubbing my aching temples, I saw on the dining table eggs, bread, and hot milk, with a note. It read, "Remember to eat breakfast. I'll pick you up after work tonight." I was a little surprised but didn't refuse the breakfast. If it were before, I would have been thrilled. But now, tasting it, it was bland. From then on, Asher seemed like a different person. He picked me up and dropped me off every day, spent less time entertaining others after work, and spent more time watching shows with me. He'd accompany me on walks, or book movie tickets in advance and drag me along. He even thoughtfully prepared breakfast and left notes. Today, just like always, as I walked out of the hospital gates, I saw Asher's car. He saw me too and rolled down the window, leaving. I opened the car door and sat in the passenger seat. It felt like something bumped against my butt, causing a bit of pain. When I picked it up, I realized it was a lipstick and not one I used. Asher's face changed immediately when he saw it. He quickly snatched it away and said, "This probably belongs to a colleague who left it in the car. I figured she was heading in the same direction as me." So I was just giving her a ride. She gets car sick. So she had to sit in the passenger seat. You don't mind, right? He asked cautiously. What do I have to mind? Helping each other out is only natural. I replied coolly. Looking at him. Asher choked on his words. His expression suddenly sour. He didn't speak to me the whole way. I couldn't understand what he was thinking. I didn't cry. Didn't make a scene. And didn't cling to the matter. That's exactly what he wanted. Wasn't it? Leela knew I was going abroad and had sent me many nice gifts. Including a blue gift box. I opened it to find a high-end lipstick inside. This was the same lipstick I'd found in Asher's car and had seen Wendy use before. But there was also a gift inside. A heart-shaped bracelet. Exactly the same as the one on my wrist. I froze instantly. My mind going blank. When I came to, I forced a stiff smile. Even the things he gave me were just leftover gifts. That showed how little I meant to him. I had just finished filling out paperwork to send to my mentor when I heard keys turning at the door. Asher came in from outside. Bent down to take off his slippers. Then looked at me and smiled. Caroline. I'm starving. Did you cook? He hurried over and sat beside me. But when he saw the documents on the table, his smile immediately vanished. He narrowed his eyes. Looking displeased. What's this? Asher. The name I've called countless times. But from today on, it means nothing to me anymore. Let's get a divorce. Asher stiffened. His eyes sharp. Maybe he didn't even realize how ugly his expression was as he ground his teeth and snarled. You want a divorce? Yes. I picked up the papers on the table and handed them to him. Asher angrily grabbed the papers and threw the divorce agreement onto the floor. What's gotten into you all of a sudden? I spoke calmly. Look over it. If there's anything you don't agree with, we can talk about it. He furrowed his brow. Caroline. Don't keep using divorce to threaten me. It's really annoying. I'm serious. Just sign it quickly. I picked up the agreement from the floor and put it in front of him. Why divorce? Is it because of that lipstick in the car? Caroline. Really? I told you it dropped there by accident. Are you going to hold a grudge over that? Besides, it's just one seat. Besides you, does no one else get to sit in the passenger seat? Caroline. What exactly are you so concerned about? What am I concerned about? I'm concerned about your favoritism and exceptions being the one you firmly choose. Finally, having fulfilled my sorry, Asher stormed out in anger. Caroline. You can make a fuss all you want. Let's see how long you last. I sat silently on the couch, staring at the moonlight outside the window. The silence around me was terrifying. The night seemed to flow silently. Its death-like stillness imprisoning me. This wasn't the first time I asked Asher for a divorce. I did it once last year. It was our wedding anniversary. But he forgot. Later, I found out from a mutual friend's social media that his first love, Wendy, had returned. That day, we fought terribly. Anger took over my mind. I angrily swept everything off the table, the crash echoing loudly. I asked for a divorce. He thought I was unreasonable and slammed the door, not coming home for days. During those days, I took time off and locked myself in my room, zoning out and cutting off all social contact. Whenever I thought of Asher, tears streamed uncontrollably. Eventually, I couldn't bear it anymore. I reached out to apologize for losing my temper. Asher always knew I loved him deeply. That's why he proposed with such confidence. He knew I'd come running whenever he called. He also knew I couldn't live without him. That's why he bullied me so recklessly. But this time, I've had enough pain. It's time to let go. As expected, Asher didn't come back for several days. I used this time to prepare everything for going abroad. One day when I came back from shopping, I found the door slightly ajar. I thought there was a burglar. So I carefully pushed the door open and picked up the tennis racket by the entrance. Just about to go inside. But then I saw two people kissing in the living room. I froze. And the tennis racket dropped with a loud thud. The two on the sofa looked toward me at the noise. Wendy got up from Asher's lap and walked toward me. Her face flushed with happiness. Pretending to apologize. Caroline. Asher had something in his eye. I was just helping him out. Please don't misunderstand. I sneered, bending down to pick up the racket. Wendy suddenly looked scared, tears welling up in her eyes. I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have kissed Asher. Please forgive me. If you were an actress, you'd definitely win an award. I stared coldly at her. Suddenly, this scene seemed like something out of a novel, the unloved but vicious wife lecturing the innocent first love. I shook my head and turned to go inside, but Wendy grabbed my wrist tightly. I raised my hand and shook off hers. Don't touch me. You disgust me. Wendy fell to the ground. Somehow, her nails had scratched my wrist, and blood began to flow. I frowned. Just then, unluckily, Asher came out of the living room. Caroline, what are you doing? He worriedly helped Wendy up, shielding her behind himself. Have you had enough of making a scene? Apologize to Wendy now. His tone was icy cold. I opened my mouth to explain, but seeing his indifferent face, I felt a surge of grievance, and my nose stung. Holding the tennis racket, I drove them out. Get out. The farther, the better. I slammed the door shut, the bang shaking the air inside the house. I felt drained and collapsed to the floor, covering my face as tears streamed down. After a while, the door was pushed open forcefully. Asher entered, his face pale. Caroline, you really are. Seeing me slump to the ground, he panicked and crouched down, gripping my wrist. Why are you bleeding? He lifted me up and placed me on the sofa, then went to the cabinet to get the first aid kit and began reading my wound. The concern and anxiety in his eyes looked genuine. I snatched the medicine from his hand and threw it to the floor. Get lost. I don't need your fake sympathy. I'm helping my wife treat her wound. How is that fake sympathy? Asher looked at me hurt. I really don't understand you anymore. What's wrong with you these past few days? Asher. I told you. We're getting a divorce. Tears welled up at the corners of my eyes as I shouted at him. Just because there was lipstick in my car and I let someone else sit in the passenger seat, you want a divorce? Is that someone else? Do you think I don't know that lipstick belongs to Wendy? I stared him down. We stood there in a deadlock for a while before he slowly spoke. Yes, you didn't fulfill my obsession. It's Wendy's. But I was afraid you'd get angry. So I didn't dare tell you the truth. If you're angry about this and want a divorce, fine. I apologize. Let's not fight anymore. Okay? The more he spoke, the more urgent his tone became. And in the end, he kicked the table in frustration. Seeing him like this suddenly made me feel disgusted. I must have been blind to like someone like him. He thought that as long as I hadn't seen him and Wendy naked in bed together, he could confidently accuse me of causing trouble. He thought I still loved him so much I'd pretend not to know anything. The tears I had just held back fell uncontrollably again. Seeing this, Asher softened his expression, crouched down, and reached out to wipe my tears. But I turned my head and dodged his hand. His hand awkwardly hung in midair. Finally, having fulfilled my answer, he slammed the door and left. A few days later, Asher's parents went to my parents and asked them to persuade me to visit him. He had drunk so much he got alcohol poisoning and was hospitalized. After being resuscitated, he went on a hunger strike, saying he wouldn't eat unless he saw me. I went to the hospital. I saw him sweep the porridge on the table onto the floor. The loose hospital gown hung on him, empty and pale. When he saw me, the dullness in his eyes brightened for a moment. Caroline, you're here. Is this supposed to be meaningful? I looked at him with no emotion inside. Caroline, I'm sorry. But I really know I was wrong. Can you forgive me and give me another chance? I promise I'll keep my distance from Wendy and won't make you unhappy again. Yes. Caroline. Just give him one more chance. As the saying goes, it takes 100 years to be able to cross the same boat, 1,000 years to share the same pillow. You and Asher becoming husband and wife is a blessing earned over many lifetimes. Asher's father spoke from the side. I sneered. Fine, let out a low sigh. I'll give you one more chance. As long as you don't contact Wendy for a week, we won't get divorced. Everyone present showed looks of delight at this. Okay. Asher agreed readily. He seemed to think my condition was a piece of cake. But only I knew. This chance was unnecessary for him. That same day, Asher eagerly checked out of the hospital. On the first day, he booked movie tickets and came early to pick me up at the hospital. The second day, he cooked some soup and brought it to the hospital to keep me company on my shift. The third day, he refused a classmate's invitation in front of me and stayed home watching shows with me. On the last day, I went to see Wendy at a coffee shop. Wendy sat across from me. Her makeup flawless. Wearing a pure white dress. Why aren't you at home taking care of Asher? Instead, you have time to meet me. Or maybe you can't control him and want my advice. Well, you're mistaken. I wouldn't control a man like that. She smiled smugly and took a sip of her coffee. As if to say, so what if he's your husband? I'm going to steal him. Asher really has good taste. The place he recommended is great. Ah. I flung the coffee in my hand at her face. The dark liquid ran down her cheek and spread on her white dress. She blinked her big eyes in shock. Frozen in place. Other customers in the CAF turned to look at us curiously. Caroline. Are you crazy? Why did you throw coffee at me? I smiled bitterly. Shouldn't I? Don't you think I know about all the dirty things between you and Asher? Her face turned pale. Then she sneered. You're not stupid. But do you really think a certificate can bind him to you? That's very naive of you. I told him I wanted a divorce. Guess what he said? I stared at her. My fingers tapping the table casually. Seeing her suppressed smile, I added. He refused and begged me for one more chance. So I told him. As long as he doesn't contact you for a week, I won't mention divorce anymore. And we'll live happily. Watching the smile fade from Wendy's face, I felt a surge of satisfaction. Today's the last day. If you're really so capable, then make him break our agreement. After saying that, I picked up my bag. Before leaving, I stopped by her side, leaned in close to her ear and whispered, I'm waiting to see. I caught a glimpse of Wendy's clenched fists under the table, then smiled and turned to leave. That night when I got home, Asher had prepared a lavish dinner and lit candles. When he saw me come in, he came over and took my hand. Caroline, I made lots of your favorite dishes. Come try them and tell me how they taste. His tone was cheerful. Probably because he knew today was the last day. I sat opposite him. He somehow pulled out a bouquet of roses. Flowers for the beauty, and audible sigh. Only you deserve them. I took the roses. At our first date, he gave me a bouquet just like this red. 99 stems. The flowers hadn't changed. But the giver had. I looked at Asher under the warm light. Time had treated him kindly, leaving almost no trace. He was still as handsome as before. Try this soup. I simmered it for hours. He served me a bowl and handed it over. Just as I was about to take a sip, Asher's phone rang. Seeing his anxious face, I didn't even have to look. It had to be Wendy. Who is it? Why don't you answer? I pretended not to know and asked casually. Nothing. Just a nuisance call. No sooner had I said that than the call came again. I'm going to the restroom. I got up discreetly and stopped by the bathroom door, quietly creeping closer to the dining area. A trembling, tearful voice drifted to my ears. Asher. You obviously like me a lot. Why are you ignoring me? I drank a lot at the bar. There was this man who was so scary. He kept harassing me. I hid in the bathroom and didn't dare to come out. I was so scared. Can you come pick me up? Asher grew anxious. Which bar are you at? After the call ended, he hurriedly walked toward the door. When he was grabbing the car keys at the entrance, he saw me standing in the living room. He lowered his head and said, Caroline. Sorry. Wendy is in danger right now. I have to go help her. Wait for me to come back. You forgot what you promised me? I said. He looked at me but didn't answer. I saw the coldness in his eyes. Caroline. You're a doctor after all. How can you be so heartless? Fine, heading fulfilled wide sigh. If you insist on going out, then sign the divorce papers first. I took the documents out of my bag and placed them on the table along with a pen. The atmosphere immediately turned ice cold. He walked toward me with a cold face, picked up the papers, and signed his name. Then he threw the pen harshly on the table and shouted at me. Are you happy now? Before rushing out the door, I sat back down calmly, finished my dinner, then grabbed my already packed suitcase and left. At the airport, I received a message from Wendy. You lost. You can't beat me. He's not coming back tonight. You're still too inexperienced to compete with me. Under the message was a photo of Wendy lying in Asher's arms, both of them with bare shoulders. I lost, but this ending was exactly what I wanted. I smiled and blocked both their contacts, then boarded the plane with the teacher. Epilogue, Asher. When Asher woke up and saw Wendy beside him, he immediately scrambled off the bed. He clearly remembered that he was supposed to leave last night. Signing the divorce papers was just a delayed tactic. He thought if he returned one last time, Caroline would tear them up and everything could still be fixed. But Wendy held his hand, crying uncontrollably, begging him not to leave. Seeing her so pitiful, he just couldn't bring himself to go. He kept telling himself this was the last time, that he would keep his distance from Wendy and live properly with Caroline. But after several glasses of wine, he blacked out. On his way home, his mind kept flashing back to the moment before he left Caroline asking him to sign the divorce papers. She wasn't upset or angry then, just resigned. Asher panicked but forced himself to stay calm, repeatedly telling himself, Caroline loves me. The divorce papers were just for show. But when he got home, the house was empty with no trace of Caroline. He went crazy, calling her phone again and again. But she had blocked him. He went to the hospital and asked nurses about Caroline's whereabouts. Everyone told him she had gone abroad. So he booked a ticket and came to where Caroline was working. No matter how much he explained, Caroline refused to forgive him. After arriving in the UK, I spent my days studying with the teacher and my evenings walking outside to meet new friends. Except for my family and Leela, I've cut off almost all contact with people back home. Living alone means dealing with many troubles. But luckily the teacher lives nearby and helps me a lot. I thought without me as a burden, Asher would be able to have a proper relationship with Wendy. But unexpectedly, he came to find me. After work one day, I saw Asher waiting outside my home. After a few days apart, he looked haggard, the light gone from his eyes, and he hadn't even shaved his chin properly. When he saw me, he came over cautiously and said, Caroline, why did you leave without saying a word? I looked at him, are you here for something? Suddenly, he grabbed my hand, Caroline. I'm sorry. That night wasn't what you think. Please let me explain. I pulled back and shook my head, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't want to know about what happened between you two. After all these years together, he had always been cold to me. There was no need for any explanation. Wendy's appearance only made me see our relationship more clearly. I'm tired now. Yet he chases me all the way across the ocean to explain what he least wanted to do before. How ridiculous. His lips were pale. The corners of his eyes red. No. It's important. You can't just completely abandon me because of one photo. It's not me who abandoned you. It's you who abandoned me. I gave you chances. You're the one who signed the divorce papers. He looked helpless. I know I was wrong that night. I shouldn't have gone out, nor signed the papers. I promise it won't happen again. Before the cooling off period ends, we can still take it back. If you want to stay here, I'll stay with you. Okay? I looked at him. Disappointed, maybe to you. I only want to leave because of that photo. But is that really the truth? The anger and grievance I had been suppressing boiled inside me. Asher was stunned, looking away, unwilling to meet my eyes. Asher, do you think I'm really that stupid? So you gave me a gift that was just a freebie, thinking I wouldn't notice? Or when you bought the necklace for my birthday, you lied and said you were on a business trip, but were really with Wendy? You clearly liked her. Why did you come bother me? You knew I liked you. Then cut off contact, only to suddenly come back and ask me to be with you. Asher, what did you take me for? A backup? But did you ever think that even a backup's heart can hurt? Tears streamed down my face as I pointed to my chest, accusing him. I wanted to pour out all the grievances I had suffered over the years. He looked at me with a complicated expression pain, guilt, remorse. It's not like that. I truly love you. Wendy was just my youthful regret. Please. Give me one more chance? His eyes were wet and red as he looked at me hopefully. Seeing I didn't respond, he suddenly knelt down. Please. Let's start over. I looked at him kneeling so humbly and just laughed. But I don't love you anymore. Asher felt like he'd been doused with cold water, broken and helpless. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he kept murmuring. No, no way, you don't love me anymore. No way. I watched his little performance coldly and said, I hope we can part on good terms and never bother each other again. With that, I took the keys out of my bag, unlocked the door, and went inside. Asher didn't give up. He kept following me around, tirelessly trying to please me with careful, cautious gestures that reminded me of how I used to be with him. Later, because his visa expired, Asher was forced to return to his country. During that time, his mind was filled with nothing but thoughts of Caroline. He could only drown his sorrows in alcohol, drinking himself into a drunken stupor every day. One day, having fulfilled my Saturn at a classmates' gathering, he saw Wendy was there too. Suddenly, having fulfilled way, he remembered that it was because of this woman that Caroline stopped loving him. So, he staggered over to her, grabbed her by the hair, and smashed a bottle from the table. Then, what out a lull sigh, he viciously stabbed at her abdomen. The scene instantly turned chaotic. Someone pushed Asher during the scuffle, causing him to fall to the ground, and glass shards cut his face. That night, the private room was covered with bloodstains. Later, Wendy was rescued, but Asher was arrested that same day and convicted of intentional injury. He was left with several scars on his face from the glass shards. Someone who met Caroline abroad asked if she wanted to go back and see Asher. She smiled and replied, I'm busy researching my project. When I have time to return to my country someday, then maybe I'll visit. Life isn't that long or that short, you can't stay in one place forever.